Okay, the heat or the air conditioning is off, which means the heat is on. We are at part four of this week's new comics, bitches. So let's roll it along here. Okay, Batman: Gates of Gotham #3. I'm beginning to feel that this is perhaps a longer story. I think maybe they're trying to jam a little bit too much information into one, because we have the Gates brothers, and we've got Wayne, we've got Wayne's, we've got the Cobblepots, we've got I didn't know that the Iceberg Lounge was built so long ago. Probably because it didn't exist until maybe a decade ago in the actual comic. But anyway, you've got Tommy Elliott seems to know a lot more about what's going on than everybody else does. Damian, of course, is still pissed off that Cassandra saved him from getting blown up by that bomb that took out the old Wayne Tower. Of course, he's pissed off because that's his father's, that's part of his father's legacy, and feels like that is kind of disrespecting his father. Red Robin, he's doing some work. I'm wondering, because I haven't been reading I've been trying to catch up on Birds of Prey. I've started from Gail Simone's run way back in like issue 50 or something like that, and I've been looking at some of her stuff and just kind of reading it so that I can catch up to where we are now, because I'm unsure as to why she's so, why someone like Oracle is so absent from this kind of duty. So I don't know, because this seems like something that she'd be pretty well made for. Anywho, but we've got the two brothers, we've got the Gates brothers, who are kind of at odds with one another. One of them believes that they will be accepted into the kind of rich folk, and one of them saying, look, the second that they don't need you, they're gonna crumble you up and throw you away. And of course we've got we've got the design of the suit, which of course is tied to the Gates brothers. And I'm sorry if anything is also pissing me off about these DC comics right now is these stupid ass inserts with the big Subway ads. It's like, what the fuck, man? I mean, because it's nothing, I don't need to know the adventures of Jared and the fucking Justice League, okay? So, cut it out, DC. Seriously. And, Kane County. So the Kanes are finally involved now, the Kane family. So, and he's not a good guy. There's a lot of, apparently in Kane County, there's a lot of gambling, prostitution, crime, a lot of vice feeding there. They don't like the thought of building a bridge that's going to connect Kane County to Gotham, but ultimately it's going to be done, needs to be done, and so they end up doing it. And this is, I think, where it starts to essentially fall apart. And we've got some interesting stuff obviously going on in the present, and some interesting stuff going on in the past. And This is, it's definitely ramping up, and we can see kind of why the Gates are pretty pissed off at these guys, at the Waynes, at the Elliots, and the Cobblepots, and the Canes. So, just as far as building a mystery, cue the Sarah McLachlan music. This is a really good book. Snyder, and I mean, Snyder's working on the story, and Kyle Higgins is really doing the heavy lifting as the writer. He's creating a very deftly handled mystery, coinciding with a lot of modern day action, and also learning the history of Gotham City. I think this is also pretty important too. It's a good, it's a good kind of, it's just a really interesting tale. Trevor McCarthy, who does the art here in these issues, some really good stuff here. And then Kyle Higgins is actually joined by Ryan Parrott. It's with 2 T's. As far as doing the writing duty here, so like it's a tight murder mystery thriller. As far as as far as who is actually murdered, we kind of know who that is. So I mean, it's not necessarily a murder mystery in the classical sense, but it is definitely a good mystery. Kind of an almost Sherlock Holmesian mystery type of thing. So I almost kind of wish that Bruce Wayne was taking the lead here, because world's greatest detective. But anyway, it's in Dick's hands, so we'll see how this one ends up, and whether or not this will actually have also implications on the rest of the DC, the future DCU. That'll be interesting to see. Okay, so The Boys, Butcher, Baker, Candlestick Maker, #1. So Ennis and Robertson have come back together again to tell the story of Billy Butcher. And now I meant to look this up before I even started this review, and I feel like an asshole because I didn't. But I'm just going to keep going here. The Falkland Islands conflict. I don't really know who kind of like the bad guys were, or the opposing side, whatever. There were the English involved, and the UK was involved, and somebody else. I don't know who. I'm still a little unclear on that. But that's where we open up. We're actually in the Falkland during the conflict. And there's a lot of Garth Ennis can really do war, man. He really can. There's not too much war in this issue, because it just shows, basically at the beginning, it shows it's our introduction to Billy Butcher as a Royal Marine, and that he's got some pretty mad skills. But that quickly takes a back seat to the main story here, which is who is Billy Butcher and how did he come to be. And the next, basically that opening leads into, well, not leads into, but it's directly followed by basically Billy has come back to his hometown. I believe on the West End of London, and he is visiting basically his father's body in a mortuary before the funeral, and it's pretty evident from the get-go that Billy hates this man. He hates his father a lot. And as we delve into the past, when Billy was just a kid, we find out why. He regularly beat, because it's pretty standard in a lot of these stories to have kind of this horrific mother and this horrific, one member of the couple, either the husband or the wife, is awful, and the other one is kind of saintly. And this particular instance, even though the name is butcher, they're actually bakers, and the bread, so on. The father regularly beats the shit out of the wife, and Billy has a brother named Lenny, who seems to be kind of the more level-headed one. And basically, also his father is quite the he's quite the ladies' man, if you consider some of the women that he has sex with ladies. But he regularly cheats, and the mother is presented as someone who is very good and kind, but everybody kind of knows the situation about what's going on, and nobody really gives a shit. This kind of village, and he talks about that. Billy does, that where he's from, they're just a bunch of, as he would put it, they're a bunch of cunts. I know that might offend a lot of Americans, but cunt is a pretty freely used word in this book, as far as the characters who are British or Scottish or Irish, what have you, because Garth Ennis, he's an Irishman, and like I said, they toss around. I mean, cunt just means asshole. It's just another word for asshole. It's not meant to, this is one of those discussions that I get into a lot. I don't use it very often, but when I do, it only ever means, it's not slang for anything else that's offensive to women. It's slang for, it's like, in that great moment in Shaun of the Dead when Nick Frost is like, when he says, can I get any of you cunts a drink, or whatever exactly the line is. It's just awesome. But Billy, basically, he wants to kill his father, and he just about does it, except Lenny stops him. And Billy just knows he cannot stay there anymore, or else he is going to do it. He is going to slip that knife between that guy's ribs. So he looks at a career in the Royal Marines. And, the reason that he wants to kill his father more than anything is that kind of, the last straw is that his father had a stroke. And he felt he was being insulted by Billy's mother when she asked to help him with something, and he whacked her so hard on the side of her head that it broke her eye socket, and now she has a glass eye. So, I mean, yeah, this guy is a major cunt. And so that's where we're at right now. We're at, Billy is about to enter the Royal Marines, and then obviously he's going to end up in the Falklands, and that's presumably where he's going to learn his real nature as a violent son of a bitch. So I'm glad that Ennis and Robertson are back together on this, because this is a story that essentially is tailor-made for the guys that created this comic together. This has very little in the sense of expositionary, monologue or anything like that, which makes it a little bit different from some recent issues of The Boys. And part of what makes it, it's a much more personal story, which makes it a lot easier to connect to. So that's another thing that I like a lot about it. Because I love Garth Ennis. I love it when he tells the personal stories. I mean, I love it when he really amps up the violence and the sex. That part's fun too. But when he's telling a personal story, that's really when, he gets his juices flowing. So we're going to be back, and this time I promise we're going to have the books of the week, okay? See you in a minute.